Hey, welcome back. Coupang stock was up over 6% on Friday. In this video, I'll explain why, give you a quick overview of the company, give you my outlook for the stock from here, and I'll tell you what I'll be doing with my Coupang position. If you watch until the end of the video, I'll also tell you what Coupang and American Express have in common. Welcome to the Stock Sale Flyer. Before we get into why the stock was up on Friday and ultimately that connection to American Express, let's take a look at that quick overview of the company so everyone knows how the business makes money. Coupang's business centers on their e-commerce platform, and they're often considered the Amazon of South Korea. While they're working on entering the AI cloud computing space with Coupang Intelligent Cloud, which will hopefully allow them to expand margins significantly in the future, to this point, the most developed part of the business is their e-commerce business. Coupang sells products both first-party and through third-party sellers, and they offer customers their Rocket Wow subscription. This subscription gives customers access to free deliveries and returns, Rocket Delivery, which gives them unlimited same-day or dawn delivery, including Rocket Fresh groceries. It also gives them access to Coupang Eats, which is like Uber Eats for food deliveries, Coupang Play, which is a streaming service, free delivery and returns on premium beauty products through Rocket Luxury, and finally, members-only discounts and coupons. They have built their own end-to-end logistics network, and their fulfillment centers are impressive. They incorporate AI and robotics for efficiency. If you haven't ever seen what a Coupang logistics center looks like, they're impressive. It's very much an Amazon model driven by the idea of customer obsession that is similar to what Jeff Bezos talked about while developing Amazon. Here you can see how some of Coupang's revenue segments can function like a flywheel. Customers buy products on Coupang, which can lead them to purchasing a Rocket Wow membership. Once they're members, they're more apt to spend even more money and rely on Coupang for regular purchases. As more people rely on Coupang for regular purchases, that leads to more third-party sellers wanting to use Coupang's advertising and fulfillment services, which fuels more sales, and so on. So in short, this is essentially pointing out the more people use Coupang, the more they're going to want to use it in the future. And this, of course, is a lot like Amazon and Walmart in the United States. As their chief financial officer said in their Q3 earnings call, we generated a 10% growth in active customers this quarter, but the growth in net revenues was driven primarily by increased spending from our existing customers. Our continued investments into enhancing the overall customer experience, from expanding selection to lower prices and faster delivery times, are driving even deeper levels of spend across all our customer cohorts. So, Coupang has continued to become an increasingly integrated part of people's lives in South Korea, and they've also been trying to expand the business to other places like Taiwan. So why was the stock up so much on Friday is the question, and the answer starts with why it was down so much in the first place. To understand that, we need to talk about two things: the most recent earnings report, which this quote it came from the earnings call transcripts. We got to talk about that report a little more, and a recent data breach. But don't worry, that American Express connection is also coming soon. First, for the earnings report, Coupang actually reported solid growth in Q3. As you can see here, revenue grew 18% year over year and 20% on a constant currency basis. Gross profit was up 20% and 22% on a constant currency basis. Feel free to look closer at the earnings release. If you want to pause the video and look at some of these highlights, you're more than welcome to do that. BofA Securities even increased their price target after the report, but the stock still sold off, apparently due to concerns like slowing customer growth and competition, leading to an operating profit that was lower than expected. Now, some of this sell-off could also just have been due to the fact that the stock had run up significantly in recent years, going from a low of $8.98 in May of 2022 to a high of $34.08 in September of 2025, but the sell-off wasn't done there. So it was made public in late November that Coupang had a massive data breach that was thought to affect millions of customers. This led to the CEO of Coupang Corp resigning, and authorities raided Coupang's headquarters. Of note, the CEO of Coupang Corp is not the CEO of Coupang's parent company, Coupang Inc. Coupang Inc. is still led by CEO and founder Bom Kim. So if we take a look at the Coupang chart, we can see where these events took place and how they influenced the sell-off in the stock. Here you have the start of the post-earnings sell-off. You can see I marked the candle where that sell-off started, and then you also can see how I marked the candle where you can see the data breach or right before it. So this candle is November 28th, and the data breach became public on November 29th. And so you can see how the stock continued to sell off after that data breach. But we can also see the gap up that took place on Friday. So then the question is, what happened on Friday that led to the stock gapping up after the post-earnings sell-off and then the data breach sell-off that continued the prior one? As you can see too, this data breach sell-off, the stock had reclaimed the 200-day moving average right before that became public. And that, you have to wonder, was the stock going to reclaim that 200-day moving average and then, have more positive follow-through momentum? I don't know, but that regardless, that data breach news led to the sell-off just continuing until Friday when the stock gapped up. Where does it go from here? We'll talk about that later, and we'll get you that American Express connection. But right now, let's talk about what happened on Friday that led to that gap up in the stock price. So on Friday, it was revealed that the data breach was not as bad as what was initially feared. So this article is from Barron's.com, but I'm showing it here as seen on TradingView. So let's take a look at this. So this is by Nate Wolf. Shares of Coupang rose sharply Friday after a Christmas Day announcement quelled investors' worst fears about a recent data breach. An internal investigation found that a former employee accessed 33 million customer accounts but retained data from only about 3,000 customers, Coupang announced Thursday. The person did not share the data with others, the company said. Coupang stock jumped 9.2% on Friday. That was obviously intraday, giving the retailer a boost before the turn of the year. The data breach has thrown the company into turmoil over the past month. Coupang's former CEO of South Korea operations resigned, and local police raided the company's Seoul office earlier this month, the Wall Street Journal reported. Often considered South Korea's equivalent of Amazon.com, Coupang holds personal information on the vast majority of the country's adult population. The announcement that the perpetrator kept just a fraction of those records could help the retailer rebuild trust among its customers. So part of the deal with this business is they have all that data because so many people in South Korea use Coupang for all kinds of things, right? This is a massive e-commerce platform. Now, does this mean that Coupang is out of the woods yet? No, as they are still likely to receive attention from authorities, lawsuits, etc. But the markets seem to like that this does not seem to have been as bad as what was feared. So before we get into where I think the stock's going to go from here and what Coupang and American Express have in common, for transparency, I currently own 100 shares of Coupang that I purchased in November of 2024. So I have held this stock through solid gains, and I am now actually down a bit on the stock. So why haven't I sold any? Well, I haven't seen the stock as expensive, honestly, relative to its growth and potential, so I haven't had a reason to. I see Coupang is ingrained in everyday life for a large percentage of South Koreans, and the position isn't oversized in the portfolio. I haven't really had a reason to part with any of it. Now, if this was like an oversized position in my portfolio, maybe I would have taken some profits at some point along the way. But the way this position is sized right now, it's kind of like a buy and hold type of deal for me right now. All right, so where does the stock go from here? It's tough to say in the short term, but with a longer term mindset, I really like Coupang. I may actually add to the position in the near future. Coupang is such a key part of people's lives in South Korea. I just see this as more of a temporary headwind rather than something this company can't recover from. Like as this article from the Korean Herald says, is Coupang too deeply embedded? Users conflicted over next steps. Coupang's deep integration into everyday life, from next day delivery to streaming, makes immediate exit unrealistic for many. So many people just regularly engage with this company that I have a hard time believing that this data breach is going to be a downfall for the company in the long term. So right now, investors who purchase Coupang stock are getting a profitable company with double-digit revenue growth and growing gross margins for less than 1.5 times sales. Much of the capex-intense logistics investments in South Korea have already been made, and they're trying to expand Coupang Intelligent Cloud, which should be a higher margin part of the business and also have the potential for international expansion. Coupang Eats, Coupang Play, Rocket Luxury, the advertising business, and ownership of Farfetched as well, which is an e-commerce company that sells luxury clothing and beauty products. All of these things represent opportunities for future growth. Furthermore, they've shown they'll grow the business beyond South Korea if they think it makes sense, and all of this is for less than 1.5 times sales. So what do Coupang and American Express have in common? Well, Coupang stock has struggled lately following the data breach, and historically there's been times when companies with strong moats have faced headwinds that turn out to be relatively short-lived, but present investors with a golden opportunity. One of the most famous examples of this happened after an event called the salad oil scandal in the 1960s, when a minor subsidiary of American Express was defrauded and American Express saw its share price tumble. Warren Buffett saw the opportunity to buy a strong business, facing what he saw as a temporary headwind at a significantly reduced price. Now you could argue that Coupang's recent data breach could have more to do with its core business than the salad oil scandal did for American Express. By the way, if you haven't ever read about that story, I encourage you to go do it because it's very interesting. You could also certainly argue that Coupang does not have as wide of a moat as American Express. You could also point out that, Coupang stock is not down from the most recent local high, although from the IPO high, it's down quite a bit. But I think the key lesson of each story is similar. A temporary headwind providing investors with an opportunity to buy a really good company at a reduced price. And if they have the patience, I think it will pay off. I'm going to hold my stock. I might add to it. Might just take some patience, but I see this as a company with a really strong moat and a lot of potential. Hey, I hope you found this video helpful or informative. If so, subscribe so you can see how my Coupang position does in the future. I'm sure I'll be updating it and talking about it more as time goes on. And don't forget to like the video, click the bell to get notifications, and follow me on X at Stock Sale Flyer. I post over there, update quite a bit over there as well. So leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about Coupang and the comparison to American Express and the salad oil scandal. And as always, information in this video is time sensitive and none of it's financial advice. Thank you guys and take care. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.